Hi, my name is Kelsi, and I'm going to be reading Esther's chapter 1 through 3 to you today. And I certainly hope that this book blesses you as much as it always blesses me. Let's get started. Chapter 1, The Banquets of the King. Now it took place in the days of King Ahasuerus. The Ahasuerus who reigned from India to Ethiopia over 127 provinces. In those days, as King Ahasuerus sat on his royal throne, which was at the citadel in Susa, in the 3rd year of his reign, he gave a banquet for all his princes and attendants, the army officers of Persia and Media, the nobles and the princes of his provinces being in his presence. And he displayed the riches of his royal glory and the splendor of his great majesty for many days, 180 days. When these days were completed, the king gave a banquet lasting 7 days for all the people who were present at the citadel in Susa, from the greatest to the least, in the court of the garden of the king's palace. There were hangings of fine white and violet linen, held by cords of fine purple linen on silver rings and marble columns, and couches of gold and silver on a mosaic pavement of porphyry, marble, mother of pearl, and precious stones. Drinks were served in golden vessels of various kinds, and the royal wine was plentiful according to the king's bounty. The drinking was done according to the law. There was no compulsion, for so the king had given orders to each official of his household, that he should do according to the desires of each person. Queen Vashti also gave a banquet for the women in the palace, which belonged to King Ahasuerus. Queen Vashti's refusal. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zethar, and Carcass, the 7 eunuchs who served in the presence of King Ahasuerus, to bring Queen Vashti before the king with her royal crown in order to display her beauty to the people and the princes, for she was beautiful. But Queen Vashti refused to come at the king's command, delivered by the eunuchs. Then the king became very angry, and his wrath burned within him. Then the king said to the wise men who understood the times, for it was the custom of the king so to speak before all who knew law and justice, and were close to him, Karshena, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marsena, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, who had access to the king's presence and sat in the first place in the kingdom. According to law, what is to be done with Queen Vashti because she did not obey the command of King Ahasuerus delivered by the eunuchs? In the presence of the king and the princess, Memucan said, Queen Vashti has wronged not only the king, but also all the princes and all the peoples who are in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus. For the queen's conduct will become known to all the women, causing them to look with contempt on their husbands, by saying, King Ahasuerus commanded Queen Vashti to be brought into his presence, but she did not come. This day the ladies of Persia and Media, who have heard of the queen's conduct, will speak in the same way to all the king's princes, and there will be plenty of contempt and anger. If it pleases the king, let a royal edict be issued by him, and let it be written in the laws of Persia and Media, so that it cannot be repealed, that Vashti may no longer come into the presence of King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal position to another who is more worthy than she. When the king's edict, which he will make, is heard throughout all his kingdom, great as it is, Then all women will give honor to their husbands, great and small." This word pleased the king and the princes, and the king did as Memucan proposed. So he sent letters to all the king's provinces, to each province according to its script, and to every people according to their language, that every man should be the master in his own house, and the one who speaks in the language of his own people. Chapter 2. Vashti's successor sought. After these things, when the anger of King Ahasuerus had subsided, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what had been decreed against her. Then the king's attendants who served him said, "Let beautiful young virgins be sought for the king. Let the king appoint overseers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather every beautiful young virgin to the citadel of Susa, to the harem, into the custody of Hegai, the king's eunuch, who is in charge of the women, and let their cosmetics be given them. Then let the young lady who pleases the king be queen in place of Vashti." And the matter pleased the king, and he did accordingly. Now there was at the citadel in Susa a Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite, who had been taken into exile from Jerusalem with the captives who had been exiled when Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had exiled. He was bringing up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had no father or mother. Now the young lady was beautiful of form and face, and when her father and her mother died, Mordecai took her as his own daughter. Esther finds favor. So it came about, when the command and decree of the king were heard, and many young ladies were gathered to the citadel of Susa into the custody of Hegai, that Esther was taken to the king's palace into the custody of Hegai, who was in charge of the women. Now the young lady pleased him and found favor with him, so he quickly provided her with her cosmetics and food, gave her 7 choice maids from the king's palace, and transferred her and her maids to the best place in the harem. Esther did not make known her people or her kindred, for Mordecai had instructed her that she should not make them known. Every day Mordecai walked back and forth in front of the court of the harem to learn how Esther was and how she fared. Now, when the turn of each young lady came to go in to King Ahasuerus, after the end of her 12 months under the regulations for the women, for the days of their beautification were completed as follows: 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with spices, and the cosmetics for women. The young lady would go in to the king in this way. Anything that she desired was given her to take with her from the harem to the king's palace. In the evening she would go in. In the morning she would return to the second harem to the custody of Shagaz, the king's eunuch, who was in charge of the concubines. She would not again go in to the king unless the king delighted in her and she was summoned by name. Now, when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her as his daughter, came to go in to the king, she did not request anything except what Hegai, the king's eunuch, who was in charge of the women, advised. And Esther found favor in the eyes of all who saw her. So Esther was taken to King Ahasuerus to his royal palace in the 10th month, which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. Esther becomes queen. The king loved Esther more than all the women, and she found favor and kindness with him more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Then the king gave a great banquet, Esther's banquet, for all his princes and his servants. He also made a holiday for the provinces and gave gifts according to the king's bounty. When the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate. Esther had not yet made known her kindred or her people, even as Mordecai had commanded her. For Esther did what Mordecai told her, as she had done when under his care. Mordecai saves the king. In those days, while Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate, Bigthan and Teresh, two of the king's officials from those who guarded the door, became angry and sought to lay hands on King Ahasuerus. But the plot became known to Mordecai, and he told Queen Esther, and Esther informed the king in Mordecai's name. Now, when the plot was investigated and found to be so, they were both hanged on a gallows. And it was written in the book of the Chronicles in the king's presence. Chapter 3, Haman's plot against the Jews. After these events, King Ahasuerus promoted Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him and established his authority over all the princes who were with him. All the king's servants who were at the king's gate bowed down and paid homage to Haman, for so the king had commanded concerning him. But Mordecai neither bowed down nor paid homage. Then the king's servants who were at the king's gate said to Mordecai, "Why are you transgressing the king's command?" Now it was when they had spoken daily to him and he would not listen to them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's reason would stand. For he had told them that he was a Jew. When Haman saw that Mordecai neither bowed down nor paid homage to him, Haman was filled with rage. But he disdained to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had told him who the people of Mordecai were. Therefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews, the people of Mordecai, who were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus. In the first month, which is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, that is the lot, was cast before Haman from day to day and from month to month until the 12th month, that is the month of Adar. Then Haman said to King Ahasuerus, "There is a certain people scattered and dispersed among the peoples in all the provinces of your kingdom. Their laws are different from those of all other people, and they do not observe the king's law. So it is not in the king's interest to let them remain. If it pleases to the king, let it be decreed that they be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver into the hands of those who carry on the king's business to put into the king's treasuries." Then the king took his signet ring from his hand and gave it to Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of the Jews. The king said to Haman, "The silver is yours, and the people also, to do with them as you please." Then the king's scribes were summoned on the 13th day of the first month, and it was written just as Haman commanded to the king's satraps, to the governors who were over each province, and to the princes of each people, each province according to its script, each people according to its language, being written in the name of King Ahasuerus and sealed with the king's signet ring. Letters were sent by couriers to all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to annihilate all the Jews, both young and old, women and children, in one day, the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to seize their possessions and plunder. A copy of the edict to be issued as law in every province was published to all the peoples, so that they should be ready for this day. The couriers went out impelled by the king's command, while the decree was issued at the citadel in Susa, and while the king and Haman sat down to drink, the city of Susa was in confusion. This concludes the 3rd chapter of Esther.
Hello, my friend, and welcome to Fear into Faith, a global Bible revival where we're on a mission to get 1 million people to read the Word of God cover to cover in a year. I'm your host, Summer Day, and with me in the studio today is Kelsi Arceneaux.
That's it.
Okay, that one, that one,
You got it.
that's one of the challenging ones. It's spelled with the beautiful French twist.
Yes, it is.
I love it.
Thank you.
it.
Thank you.
Well, beautiful. Where are you from?
I am from California, actually.
What part?
The Bay Area.
Okay, what part of the Bay Area?
Berkeley, more
Berkeley.
specifically.
Okay.
Yes.
Berkeley.
And I went to college in Southern California.
Okay, where?
UC Irvine.
Come on. I went to Chapman.
Oh, you're
The
there.
neighbors.
Yeah. Orange County. And then I moved back up to Northern California, and then 4 years ago moved to the Dallas area.
Okay. And what do you do?
Well, interesting question. Obviously,
I want an interesting answer then.
obviously, the thing is, in California, I was in ministry, and I did real estate. I'm still a realtor in California. And then as the Lord began to deal with me about moving to Dallas, that was difficult because I'm Cali through and through. So I'm sitting here like, I know I hear you, but am I really hearing you? I forgive me for having to fleece you the way I need to fleece you, but that's big. I've only lived in California, but, after, a ton of sacred echoes, and I just, one day I was praying on a Sunday morning, and I just said, if this is really, really you, because how do you move out of state? What do you do? I don't even know what to do. I need you to make it so clear. And as I'm praying, my phone vibrated.
Oh, no.
And I look at my phone, and it's one of my closest friends. It's her son. He's a musician. And he sent us a picture. And it's this beautiful vestibule, of a church. And I'm sitting there, and I said, Lord, I'm going to ask him where he is. And if he says Dallas, I'm going to throw my phone and fall out of his bed. And I said, where are you? And he said, Texas. And I said, where, Corey? And he said, Dallas. No way. And I said, okay, I'll book a flight. That's all I could. I'll book a flight, But it started that way. And when he had me come here, he actually had me start a holistic wellness center. Wow. I had never done anything like that. That's not something I would have thought of.
Wow.
It's just.
I have to tell you why I laughed earlier, because you and I just met today. We don't know anything about each other. You didn't know I was from Southern California.
No, I did not.
What you didn't know is I've only lived one place my whole life, and it's California. And we recently moved to Texas. Now, mind you, first God told us to sell everything, and we RV'd for 3 years.
Wow.
And then we ended up in
there.
the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Wow.
So
you get it.
Very similar story. You've been here for 4 years.
October made 4 years.
Okay, so I left August 1st, 2020.
Wow. October 19th. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Same journey. And I only knew because when we were driving in the Fort Worth area, it was almost like Holy Spirit said, sit up and pay attention. And I was like, what's happening? I thought we would move to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Holy Spirit totally is like talking to me. And I told my husband, I was like, I think we're supposed to live.
Isn't that something?
Couldn't figure it out. God had to confirm it to the point where, guess what I did? I threw my phone.
See?
When God confirmed to me, I was on my phone, something happened, and I went, oh, and I dropped it like it was fire. And I was like, oh, I'm moving to Texas.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it was huge.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you got a holistic wellness center.
So yes, I started this holistic wellness center. Now the vision was, because I'm into that. I'm into holistic. I'm into innovation. Figuring out why your body is doing what it's doing.
Love it.
I don't like dealing so much with the medications that treat symptoms but not the root cause, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is something that I had been studying for a while. Never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that I would have a brick and mortar. Other people do that. I don't do that, right? And so, but it's very interesting because, and it was an interesting transition as well, because starting a business, that is your baby. You're there all the time. Everything goes into that. I'm used to ministry, and it's how do I make that transition, But basically the vision was I had to be very prayerful over every person that wanted to come there, because it was going to be a one-stop shop. And, I would have practitioners collaborate, and they would be services you can't just find anywhere. And then we put them all under one roof.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and it was a blessing to many people. I had to be very intentional just making sure that when people walked in, whether they knew it was him or not, they felt his presence.
Come on, I love that.
Because there are people who are not walking into the four walls of the church, but he loves them. and he's remembering them, and he wants to comfort them and heal them. And so that was just amazing because that came to life. You know, some people walk in and say, I just feel anointing here, or I just feel his presence. And then other people may walk in and just say, I feel a lot of love here. I just like being here. I feel shift. And, you know, my thing was I want them to feel the shift when they walk through the door. Yeah. And they would always say that. So I knew my prayers were being answered, you know. And so did that for...
Do you have a website for the...
Yes, it's www.thewellfrequencyprosper.com. Okay. And and it's frequency. We dealt with everything was, you know, frequencies, and it's just a lot of innovation, really amazing modalities that you don't find just anywhere, right?
On the health and wellness.
And love it. So then in October, look at that. I'm just realizing that's October. Another transition, and now that all the pieces were in place and all the practitioners are working together, that was the vision. And so he's shifting me back again to ministry focus. So I took all my merchandise and sell everything that I sell online, and then all of the practitioners stay together, move to a different location that I'm not having to oversee. And so I'm in that shift right now.
Yeah.
And you know how it is. When it's his vision, it's his to do with it as he pleases. We're just a conduit.
So no matter how much we're kicking it.
Yeah, we are a conduit. So life is filled with swift transitions, and I'm along for the ride. I love it. I'm all about living in the supernatural. I don't want a regular life. Be regular for what?
Come on.
He's not a regular guy.
I would say,
come on.
Spirit life is the best life.
Come on.
I don't know how I'd live.
Why would you want to be regular? We have this God who's supernatural.
No. See crazy miracle things.
Crazy miracle every day, every single day.
Be that way.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, the Bible revival, right? And the more I actually read the Bible, the more I realize, like, this is alive. This is today. We are experiencing so many things in the Bible today. And miracles and signs and wonders today. The Sodom and Gomorrah crazy stuff today. Like, it's all happening today. There's never been a time more to read your Bible than today.
I'm with you.
Well, I love it. So we have a mutual friend. That's how you kind of got connected to this project. But I mean, you just recently heard this. Probably didn't even know much about it, but just jumped in. I was wondering why you said yes.
To be honest, she said something. I was like, TV, Amy, what? You know, and then I was like, she's like, well, she has to know really quickly. And I'm going to be honest, because I'm not going to lie. Everything Amy was like, TV adds 20 pounds. Wait a minute. I don't want to, I'm used to radio. I'll do. And it was just, it was very clear that I needed to meet you and that I needed to be here. Wow. And it's been such a blessing today. So I'm really glad.
I love it.
I'm really glad.
I needed to meet you.
Amazing connection.
So I'm like so many people today that we're meeting that are just like, yeah, let's just make the miraculous the way.
Come on, can that be our norm, please?
The lady before you was talking about God melted her shoes in her closet.
Yeah,
her attention. I'm like, these are just the things happening. And I think you heard me talk about we had a lady who had oil poured.
I saw.
I mean, this is just our new.
And that needs to be the norm.
Yeah.
You know, I
want to live there because you're going to get on another roll.
Okay,
I want to interrupt you. So we're going to take a break and we'll be right back right after this. Oh, I can see why you like Marie.
Are you tired of being a wallflower? Are you rhythmically challenged with your 2 left feet? Well, you don't have to be. You can wow the crowd on the dance floor, and it's easier than you think. Let Sir Charles turn your 2 left feet into the smooth, happy feet that you've always wanted. Learn the 8 basic steps, and you'll be able to step on the dance floor and move with grace and confidence. Never again be afraid to dance with that special someone. Visit SirCharlesDance.com and take your first step into a happier, more graceful life. Go to SirCharlesDance.com today.
If you want to amplify your mission and your cause, be sure to watch Giving Out Loud right here on Zandra TV.
We are back with Kelsi Arceneaux.
Yes.
And I'm just so good.
So good. So good.
And we were talking right before you left about just a lot of the different things that you're doing, your health and wellness stuff. And then you mentioned about not being sure about coming to TV.
Yes.
You said something about you like doing radio. Have you done a lot of radio?
I did. I used to have my own radio broadcast, and I was also on one. It was called Pradio. We had an hour
Radio.
I love that. An hour of prayer, a women's radio we did weekly. And so I I got very comfortable with that. I really enjoyed it. But even that, yeah, I love how I just fall into these things, right? A friend of mine, we were going to dinner, and she was going to be a guest on a radio broadcast. And she says, well, it's just easier if you just go with me, and then we can ride over to, the area. We'll be right by the bridge. We can go to dinner, San Francisco together. I said, okay. And so the gentleman just let me sit on set, just listening and watching, and they were talking about something fabulous about Jesus, and I was just amped but had to be quiet. And then when they went to commercial break, he said, well, what do you think about what we said? And I said, well, of course I had something to say. And then I told him, and he's like, hurry up, get her mic'd up, and then come on, come to the table, and I finished the broadcast, and after that he's like, we need you permanently. I mean, that's literally how it happened.
Wow, I love it.
That is literally how it happened. And the same person, I was on their show on Fridays, and then he said, we want you to do your own, kind of counseling show, like a Dear Abby type thing.
Yeah.
And he said, you just have this incredible women's ministry, and you have something to say. He said, will you write something for the blog? And I'm like, I love writing. I'm a creative writer. I love writing. So I would write little things that I thought were interesting. And finally, the Lord said, tell your story. And this was not something that I would have written about. The times you think you're about to lose your mind, and, I'm crazy, and everybody will know I'm whatever, going through whatever. And I said, oh, okay. So I just did a blog post, just a one-time blog post, a little bit of my story. And then it went viral. And they're calling me like, okay, now it's in this country. Now it's in that country. This is what's going on. Oh, my gosh. And then, so that turned into a book.
I love it.
And then now we're
called
Clarity is Divine, the Light of His Love Revealed.
Love that.
Yes.
Awesome.
And so now, we're in these negotiations for a movie project, and it's just amazing.
Right now you are.
Right now.
Come on.
It's crazy, though, because when it's your life, it's just your life.
Yeah.
Your dysfunction. It's just the stuff that you've been through. It's your life. But the beauty of that, to be honest, was after writing that book, seeing how the enemy will make you think you're so alone in what you feel and the hopelessness that you experience in life, the trauma, the family stuff, all of the relational stuff, because that's what it was. It was a very horrible relationship gone bad, me trying to figure out, why did I partner with that person in the first place? What was broken inside of me that made me choose? Or not even that I chose him, but why did I submit to that? What happened there? I'm a very introspective person. So it was, a very prayerful process for me. And that's what I had to share, not realizing that so many women would contact me and say, that's how I felt. And I never thought anybody else went through that. And so, it was a nauseating, scary experience, because it was a level of vulnerability that I wasn't expecting. But the fruit was amazing. And by fruit, I mean just women feeling understood.
I love that.
And loved and hope.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Thank you. God is good.
Thank you. When you're like, oh, I did a lot of radio, I'm like, you sold yourself short. You're all the personality, man. I was like, you gotta be on TV. Come on. Goodness. I can't believe you're like, oh, I don't know if I could do TV. Yes, you can. You're good at this.
Well, thank you.
You're good at this.
Thank you.
So, okay, besides just kind of walking in obedience, why were you interested in this project?
Amy, she's so amazing. But when she says someone's awesome, she's not one of those people that's just, everybody's awesome. She said, no, you have to meet Summer. You'll love her. She's just really awesome. And I said, okay. And I'm telling you, there was just an inner witness. And I said, so this woman is awesome. Okay. Thank you, Lord. I do need to meet her. Yes. And I love the word. I love the word. The word is delicious. The word is my life.
Delicious.
Okay.
Come on. Thank you.
It's my life.
Thank you.
Can't live without it.
That word.
It is everything.
So good.
So the fact that you're doing a global Bible revival, and we are in perilous times, as you said, and the word really is the only thing that is going to sustain us.
Yeah.
It's what we need. It's our authority, our answers, our roadmap, our encouragement.
You can check out the rest of this interview right here or by going to BibleRevival.tv. And if this show has blessed you, you can help us bless others by partnering with us for as little as $20 a month and help us to expand the reach of this show. We'd also like to invite you to join our Kingdom Discipleship Program, where you have an opportunity to get on weekly Bible Zoom calls with us and people around the world to deep dive into His Word. And you can check all that out at BibleRevival.tv. I'll see you next time, my friend.